Hey guys, this is Voices of Virtue. My name is Bianca.
And I'm Brielle.
And this year, obviously we're seniors in Montez's class, and we have been reading through On Reading Well. Who is it by again? Karen Swallow Pryor.
Yes.
I've personally really enjoyed the book. I thought it was great. But Brielle, if you want to explain the assignment a little bit.
Yeah, so throughout the first quarter of our senior year, we have been reading the book, and it's about living the good life according to virtues. And we have been assigned this project to kind of like talk about which virtue we value most, and like kind of like which one like kind of helps you reach the end goal of the good life.
Yeah. So what did you choose for yours?
I chose kindness.
Why did you choose kindness?
Well, I chose it because, well, first of all, I feel like before reading the book, I thought kindness was like, really important to have because like, I feel like it's the way that, Jesus treated everyone with kindness. And so that's like the way that we should live. And, you just never know what someone's going through. And like a small act of kindness can really go a long way. But I don't know, it just really stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. How about you?
I chose Chastity, which is, I was not expecting in the past years when I heard about this podcast to be doing it about chastity, but it's something that's kind of been relevant lately. And it is, it was the one virtue that I didn't have a full, well-rounded understanding of. And so I really wanted to learn more about it. And actually it does have a lot, like, I think that it's not far out there to think that it is the most important virtue. I think that they're all important in their own ways, but I do believe that chastity, there's just something different about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I feel like every virtue is important. They all definitely tie in together.
100%.
Like, I know, I like mentioned this like a kind of like illusion in class. Like, you have this like chained bracelet and like each chain is a virtue. And like, if one's missing, the bracelet's not going to connect and like do its purpose. So, they all kind of tie in together. So they're all equally like important, I feel like, but some just stick out more than others.
Yeah, for sure.
But for sure. Well, should we just go into like more depth about our virtues?
Yeah, let's do it. Tell me about kindness.
All right. So I have a couple definitions to kind of help lay out what kindness is. And, most of these are definitions we went over during our class period. And so as a class, we kind of decided like three main definitions that says kindness is doing good for others in a real way and not just being polite or doing something out like to get out of it. Like you're doing something like from the goodness of your heart. And like, sometimes people just do good stuff to like, oh, maybe I'll get recognition. Maybe I'll get an award out of this. Like, no, like kindness is something like you're doing for the greater good. And it's not like to get, like I said, get something out of it. There's also taking the time to be selfless and getting to know someone. Like that's also like, kindness, like being kind to someone is like, you're taking the time to get to know them and you really want to know them for who they are. Like not just kind of cheap, like, oh, okay, I kind of know them. Like, no, kindness is like you really get to know them for the person they are and not from like, stereotypes or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also kindness is to treat someone like family. One of the root words of kind is kin, like family. I don't even know what that word means from like, that one Christmas song. It's like, Wish you Merry Christmas. Yeah. But like, being kind is also treating someone like family and also treating like others how you want to be treated, which is, like the golden rule.
Yeah, for
sure. And then also I have sacrificing your own good, sacrificing your own good and valuing others and taking the burdens of others. So that kind of like, what that means to me is that like if someone's really struggling, you're not just kind of going to sit back and watch and just be like, okay, they'll figure it out. Like you're going to like help them through it. You're going to like hold their hand and stuff and like make sure that like they will be okay. And like, that's kindness, that's caring for them and stuff.
Yeah. And I think that kindness and chastity really actually tie in a lot more than people think. My whole thing with chastity being the most important virtue is that it relates to all of the other virtues. And I have examples for all of the virtues, but for kindness, it's just kind of like what you were saying, it's really being compassionate towards your partner and understanding that they're not an object for pleasure. They are not just something that you can like use whenever you want, and respecting them enough to wait and to like, you do get what I'm like coming from. And I think that like that definitely transfers, like chastity definitely transfers into kindness, and that in turn not only applies in concepts of sexual attraction, sexual desires, but that also transfers into all areas of life, like you were talking about, caring for others, truly seeing people. I think that is a huge thing with chastity, is truly seeing your partner for who they are as an image bearer of God. And with kindness, you truly see people and you meet them where they're at, and you help them and care for them like they are your family.
For sure. So when you were saying that, I kind of thought of like, I don't know, this would be considered like a sub virtue, or like not like as like, you know, the top virtues, but like, you know, respect.
Yeah.
Like they both definitely tie in with respect. Like if you're going to be kind to someone, you respect them. Like you respect them for who they are. You respect their values and stuff. And like, you know, you were saying with chastity is showing respect for your partner and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's something I feel like that really ties in with both virtues is respect.
Yeah. And that also ties into justice. Chastity, when it comes to justice, is just respecting your other partner. And that's the just thing to do. I mean, it just kind of speaks for itself. And I really like how you connected that with respect. And I think that is such a huge part of all virtues, really, is just respecting everyone around you and respecting yourself, and ultimately respecting God.
Exactly. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, let's see.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why do you think that kindness is essential and the most important for the good life?
Okay. Well, kindness, I feel like I've kind of lived my whole life trying to live by kindness. Like I have this like philosophy I live by where it's like you don't have to like really like everyone, but you should be kind to everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there have definitely been people in the past who I've really had a hard time trying to see the best in them.
Yeah.
But, you know, you still show kindness toward them because they are people. And, like, you know, that's a way of respecting people. I got in my bed. And, you know, I feel like that's also, like, the way Jesus lived. Like, you know, he was kind to everybody, loving to everybody. And, you know, it's also, like, treat others how you want to be treated. Like, the golden rule. Like, be kind to everybody. And, like, you know, I'm not saying that, like, oh, if you're kind to someone, everyone's going to be kind to you.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. There are people in this world who just do not care. But, like, I don't know. I think that just being kind to people, it also just can leave, like, a big imprint on someone. Like, there was this one time where this summer I was on a cruise with my family, and it was one of the formal nights, right? And so everyone was dressed up nice, and it was like earlier in the night, so not as many people were dressed up yet. And I was like sitting down on a couch with my mom, just talking to her in like the lobby of the cruise. And then there's this little girl, the prettiest little girl I think I've ever seen. She comes walking by in this like really elegant black dress, and I had like just paused the conversation with my mom, and I like went up to her. I'm like, you are like the prettiest little girl I've ever seen. Like you literally look like a princess. And like, you know, she was blushing, and like her family was like, oh, thank you. And so they walked away for a second, and then she came back and gave me a hug.
Oh,
like that really stuck with me. And like, yeah, like that, I don't know. It's like the small acts I feel like that really stick with someone.
Yeah.
And like, you know, my personal goal in life is to leave like a positive impression on people, not just like for my own benefit, but, you know, for their benefit too. Like, you know, like I said, kindness can go a long way. Like they were talking about in the book on Reading Well, the author was talking about this one book. Forgot the, called Kin. And it was about this man who was contemplating on ending his life. And there was this boy who found his jacket and, you know, wanted to go find the man and give him the jacket. And then, like, you know, the boy fell into like a lake or something, and then the man saved him. But that small act of kindness of trying to like return that jacket because he thought the man was cold, like it changed him. Like,
It saved his life.
It did. It really did. And like, it's those small acts of kindness, I think that like matter the most.
Yeah, I really like that. And I like how you're tying in your own personal experiences with that. I think that is something that is so important. And you can't just be looking at virtues and deciding which one's most important without actually taking into account your own personal experiences with virtues. And I think that really shows a lot about people, is what they choose kind of reflects who they are.
Yeah.
And it reflects their values too. And I think that is just really cool.
Oh, thank you. How about you? Why did you choose chastity?
Well, aside from the fact that I wanted to challenge myself, which this was challenging.
I respect that. Yes.
I it's just such a really good thing, especially like you and I both know we're both in new relationships. So it's just a good thing to kind of know and to understand what it is. And I was talking with Montez about this, and it just, they all relate to to each other, and especially chastity. I think once you quote unquote master, for lack of better words, the virtue of chastity, it really translates into all of the other virtues. And like, for example, I wrote all of these down in my notes and I'm going to try to find them. But for example, the most thought of one is probably temperance. It's just kind of self-control. In a sense, it moderates your appetite, and it helps you to resist overindulgence and excess. And the big thing with chastity is it's ordering things correctly, and it's putting sexual desires where it belongs and puts it in its place. And I think chastity not only orders sexual desires, but it also orders the things that you love the most. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that in turn, it just having things rightly ordered in your life is so crucial and prevents idolatry. And that's one of the 10 commandments, is don't hold any God above God himself.
Yes,
and I think that it's really great, because having all of these things ordered correctly, it truly glorifies God. And the thing with chastity is your body is a temple and marriage is a covenant, and sex, it brings two people together, like it brings their souls together, and that glorifies God. And the good life is glorifying God. And I'm not saying that the only way to live the good life is one, to have sex or to abstain from sex. That's not what I'm saying. But I asked ChatGPT to
good old chat,
summarize chastity in like all my notes and summarize what I said. And it said chastity itself is integration, the person, I can't read my own writing, the person harmonizing body, mind, and soul, becoming a foundation for all other virtues, because ordered love leads to ordered living. And I mean, I just really like ordered love leads to ordered living. And it's just so true, because we all know as Christians what it's like to have things out of place and to put things above God, put things above where they should be. And it leads to ruin, for lack of better words, it leads to ruin. And I don't know, I think chastity is just good to one half a relationship. And in that it transfers to, like I've said so many times, patience. You're waiting for marriage, and it's calm endurance, and it deepens emotional intimacy. And that emotional intimacy doesn't necessarily need to stay with your spouse or with your boyfriend or girlfriend. But that emotional intimacy transfers into kindness, where you have that softened heart, and you can meet people where they're at through kindness. Gratitude as well. I know gratitude wasn't explicitly mentioned in this book, but it's just gratitude for what God has given you. And it's gratitude for the gift that he's given you of a body, of that relationship with another person. And having that gratitude through, with sexual relations and with that kind of intimacy also transfers into, I'm so grateful that I have air in my lungs. I'm so grateful that I get to come to a school and do a podcast with Brielle Bianca. It also helps with diligence, because it is a daily battle. It is a hard battle when you love someone very much and you want to follow and honor God's word and honor God and glorify him through your relationship. Prudence, I'm just kind of going through them all. It's just because prudence is using wisdom and applying wisdom.
Yeah.
You're being wise with your actions and with your body. And through that, you will learn more to be wise in other areas of life. And a big one I really liked was courage, because it is hard living in a world that looks down upon purity and mocks chastity, basically.
Yeah.
And it says in the book on page 160, I believe, if I could find it, I probably should have flipped over sooner, but it says that it literally on page 160, the header says the most unpopular of the Christian values. And it says it's the most misunderstood. And I think that is so true, because people look at chastity and say, oh, it's just a super religious thing. It's only for Christians. Oh, I'm not super religious. Like, I'm a Christian, but I'm not at that level yet. I can't be I can't have chastity. And that's not the case. It is a quote unquote religious thing, but it's more of a commandment that the Lord calls us to. And it shouldn't be limited just to a religious thing on celibacy or like abstaining from sex, but it's such a good core virtue to have, because it teaches you so many lessons outside of sex. And living in a world that glorifies fornication and pornography and homosexuality and all of these sexual sins, holding on to chastity and following what the Lord has told you is so hard, and it takes so much courage. And once you have a better sense of that courage, and once you, like an example, if you're in a relationship and your partner, your boyfriend or your girlfriend is really wanting to have sex with you, and you stand up for yourself, you're like, no, I have my boundaries. I'm not going to do this. And they're like, okay, I understand. I understand that you're coming from scripture. I understand that this is what God says, and I'm going to respect that, and I'm going to live that with you. First off, that is chastity on its own. But once you stand up for yourself in that way, you are being courageous. And in that, you will be able to stand up for yourself in other situations where if someone's being rude to you, or if someone is being rude to someone else, or you just need to stand up for what's right, because you know how to stand up for basically what your God tells you about your body. That'll transfer into, oh, I can now stand up to these people if they're being mean to me. I can stand up to these people if they're not doing something according to God, if they're out partying, if they're doing drugs, if they're doing all these things. And it transfers into all of the other virtues, and ultimately leads to you more easily achieving the good life, if that makes sense.
That was like beautiful.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I low-key kind of yapped for like a good 5 minutes, so I apologize for that.
You're fine. Well, speaking of the good life, I think that we should like define what the good life is and how our virtues apply to that.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, in your opinion, what do you think the good life is?
The good life is glorifying God. That is 100%. And we talked about this in class too, and Montez said that the persecuted Christian in some Middle Eastern country is living the good life, because even though their life is bad in a sense, like suffering and pain and all of that, they're still living the good life because they have yet to deny God, and they have yet to choose their flesh or choose their comfortability over choosing to glorify and honor God. And I think the biggest thing with the good life is living a life that is, one, virtuous, and two, honors God and shows who he is and his character.
Yes, I like that. I feel like I believe it's something very similar. Like the good life is glorifying God, and it's also living the way that we were called to live.
Yes.
Like, you know, hang on, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
You know, we were called to, you know, be fruitful, multiply, have like dominion over like the earth and stuff like that. And like, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. So I feel like, and we also have like 10 commandments to live by. So I feel like living the good life is also living by like the way that like we were instructed to live by the Lord, and also glorifying God.
Yeah, fulfilling our purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
So,
really good. I like that. And I like how you tied in both of our virtues in that. I saw where you dropped those.
Yes.
So based on the good life and glorifying God, I was reading, well, Mr. Dill actually gave me a recommendation. It's by John Calvin. It is Institutes of the Christian Religion, and it goes through the 10 commandments. And so this goes through commandment 7, which is thou shalt not commit adultery. And I'm just going to read you the whole quote because I wrote it down in my notes, and it talks about basically what you were saying about the good life, how we are living out our purpose. And this is about the purpose of marriage. It says, moreover, when spouses are made aware that their union is blessed by the Lord, they are thereby reminded that they must not give way to intemperate and unrestrained indulgence. Sorry, I'm slow at reading.
Oh, I get it.
But I think that totally ties in. And I know that this is supposed to be kind of like challenging each other's, but I mean, I think we're both like...
They align really well.
They align so well.
Yeah.
But I think exactly what you were saying, when two spouses realize that their marriage is truly a blessing from God, they start to order their marriage and how they approach it in the way that God designed them to. And I think it's more natural rather than... Because one thing that it said in the chapter that I was reading, I'm going to try to find it again, but it's I can't remember what it said, but it was basically saying that chastity is a virtue of the mind.
Yes.
And it's not action, where the other virtues are more action based.
That's for sure.
Like temperance, you have to actively choose temperance, but chastity is more of a mind thing. You have to rewire your brain almost to not choose your desires, but rather choose what is right. And that also ties into prudence. And exactly like you were saying, they are choosing to honor God in their marriage. And he also says in his book, you can abstain from sex, but you can still not have chastity because your brain can be so perverted in that sense.
Yeah.
And the same thing in a marriage. And it says it in the Bible, if you look at a woman in a lustful way, literally poke out your eyes because you're committing adultery. And I think that goes into kindness, being so kind to see your partner and to honor them in that way, where I'm not even going to look at a woman with lust because I don't even want to, because I love them so much and because God has called me to a higher standard than that.
Exactly. I like that. The kind of like when you were talking about like it like not being like an action virtue, that kind of like reminded me of like kindness being an action virtue.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties me into my source, and I found this article by Victor Cruz, C-R-U-Z.
Victor Cruz?
Cruz. Yep, dyslexia. And it's titled "What is Kindness?" And you know, I kind of like just made 4 important like bullet points that just talks about why kindness is important, according to the article. And so, you know, kindness shows what God is like, loving and caring.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like when you're kind to someone, you're kind of like almost showing them, you know, the love of God. And like, you know, kindness does tie in a lot with love. Like we have not read about love yet as a virtue. Yeah. But it is, I feel like, a very big virtue because I feel like
100%.
Like, if I really think about it, I feel like all the virtues definitely tie in with love.
Oh, 100%.
Like
if we went over love, I probably would have chosen love for this project.
Exactly. And then, you know, kindness also, it helps you forgive and not seek revenge.
Yeah.
Like, people suck sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, people can do some really crummy things to someone, but, you know, Jesus forgives, therefore we should forgive. And that's like a way of kindness. Like, you know, I have my boyfriend, you know, he's a boy, you know, and he'll say some goofy things and we'll
Girl,
be
me
like,
too.
And, you know, he's like, oh, do you forgive me, when he apologizes? And I said, well, does Jesus forgive you? And he says, yes. And I said, well, therefore, there's my answer.
Wow. That's so good.
Yeah. So shout out to Mark House.
Mark House.
So, and then, you know, also kindness is important because it also heals relationships and brings peace.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, people can be crummy and, you know, things happen between people. But you shouldn't hold those resentments. And if anything, you should try to rebuild those relationships. They don't have to be as strong as they were. But, you know, it's okay, you know, to still be friends with someone. Not, you, like I said, you don't have to be best friends again if you were at that point. But like, it shows forgiveness too. Yeah. Like, you know, kindness just helps build those relationships and like, just brings peace.
Yeah. And one thing that I like about what you said is that it rebuilds relationships. And I would like to bring that back to a romantic relationship. Obviously, it applies more to my virtue.
Yeah.
But just because something gets hard doesn't mean that you need to give up. And I think that is showing a lot of kindness.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to a romantic relationship, the hard things is what really makes it flourish. And I mean, I know I'm tying it a lot into chastity because that's my virtue, but when someone's struggling with lust, it's not something that you should run away from. And I think the true kindness is actually running to it and helping them through prayer and helping them through just loving them.
Exactly.
And that is really, honestly, I think that just shows the good life. Because truly loving a person is showing them kindness, is showing them patience, showing them temperance and chastity and all the virtues. Love is courageous. Love is courageous. Let me tell you that.
Love is kind.
Showing someone love truly, truly, truly is, honestly, I would argue the most important part of any relationship, whether it is romantic or friendship or familial. And that, I mean, is pretty much what you've been saying about kindness and forgiveness. That is the key to a healthy relationship, and that is the key to living the good life. I feel like we both came to a conclusion that love is honestly
love is the answer.
Love is always the answer.
It's like the theme of like all those like Disney princess movies. Like, love is the answer.
Love is the answer. God's love is the answer.
Amen.
That's for sure.
Amen.
That's for sure. Our human love is good. We are very loving creatures, but at the same time, we are not very loving creatures.
No.
We are only loving creatures because God is a loving God.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, I think we're good. I mean, we've got 30 minutes, which is a little more than we were supposed to, but
hey, no, it's okay.
Anything you want to close with, Brielle?
I just want to say thank you. I think we had a very beautiful discussion, and it was a very like mature and just really well-rounded discussion.
Yeah, for sure. I think we could talk about this for hours if we wanted to.
I think we could. Part two?
That's great. Part two, maybe, perchance. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Voices of Virtue, Season 3, class of 2026. That is so crazy to say. But yeah, thank you. Shout out to Montez for this assignment.
Yes,
he's goated. He's super cool. Yeah.
Anyways, thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. CVCS is a Christian TK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Please visit cvcs.org/podcasts to listen to the variety of shows our students produce on our campus. You can also find all of our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and others. We would also appreciate you subscribing to and leaving a review of this show and the other shows on our network in your podcast player of choice. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to us, please email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the school, this is Mr. Jasper, the executive producer of the podcast network. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more.